You ready? Mm-hmm. We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners for Wednesday, February 26, 2014. Good afternoon. My name is Langdon Neal. I'm chairman of the board. To my left is Commissioner Marisol Hernandez. Commissioner Cowan is ill, I believe, today, Mr. Goff?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's doing much better.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. All right. First item on the agenda is the consideration agenda. Any additions, deletions, modifications? Hearing none, we'll move to the minutes, but we don't have any minutes from the last meeting. Mr. Cowan hasn't had an opportunity in his illness to review them. Mr. Executive Director, I know you've been busy. You want to make a brief report?
Mr. Chairman, it's election time. Everybody's busy. The warehouse is cranking away. Absentee department, everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm very happy with the way the progress of everything that we have. The poll books is all the information on poll books falling into place. I think we're going to have a very good election. I would like to say that I know Ms. Maroney has some comments, so I'm going to make mine brief so we can hear Ms. Maroney. Okay.
Communications Director.
Been cranking out on legal notices. It's been a heavy project right now. We're getting them in all 4 languages. The mass mailing was redesigned at your suggestion, Commissioner, so we'll have one piece that's smaller for that'll go to the vast majority of voters that is bilingual, and then there'll be a larger piece that folds open. It's an envelope. We're going to actually save postage on 2 fronts. One, by just going with that, we're going to be bilingual in most areas, and then quadlingual in just the Indian and Asian Indian precincts. And we also got support from that from the Asian Indian community and the Chinese community. Because we have language on the bilingual one, say, balance bill. Secondly, we're using a standard pre-sort method that's going to chop off another like $40,000 in postage. So we should save, by the time this is all said and done, upward of $140,000 in postage on this mailing. So thank you for making me redesign. The electronic poll book video is our next big project. That's for introducing it to the public and the news media. And that's all I have for right now. And the redesign of the website is moving along.
Okay. Fantastic. Any questions for Mr. Allen?
No.
All right. Under old business, we have our infrastructure projects, and we're actually underway in implementing those, or at least many of them,
Yes.
as well as electronic poll book. You reported on that, Mr. Goff. Judd, anything else you want to say about that today?
Just FYI, it looks like the pre-lat will be completed on Friday of this week, which is great, ahead of the delivery schedule, so we're very happy about that.
Okay, thank you. Voting permit, Paige, is anything you want to say to us today?
Everything's going well. We also expect to complete pre-lat this Friday.
Okay, great. Excellent job. Legislation, Mr. Scanlon, I'm going to probably guess that there's nothing that needs our attention this week.
There have been a few bills introduced in the General Assembly. I passed along copies of those bills and any comments I have with regard to those bills, so you should have received those. If you have any questions or comments you want to pass along with regard to those bills, please let me know.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will continue to send them along as I receive them and let you know what comments I have with regard to those.
Great. I'm sorry, Kelly, I passed you up. I apologize.
That's okay.
Back to the Assistant Executive Director.
I echo everything Mr. Goff said, as well as Judd Ryan and Paige Barnes. Everything at the warehouse is going beautifully. ESCs are scheduled to start leaving on Monday from the warehouse, and everything's going great. Absentee, voter registration, judges training is going superbly, even with the introduction of the new electronic poll books. So everything is great.
Excellent. Okay. I don't know that we have any new business to come before the board. Mr. Scanlon, anything for you from a legal status report?
Just that we had oral argument in the Stone case last Wednesday before the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. which is why I couldn't attend last week's board meeting. I believe it went well, and hopefully we'll find out in the next few weeks to a couple of months when the Seventh Circuit issues a decision.
Okay. All righty. We'll hope that we can, one way or another, put this litigation to bed.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. All right, we have financial reports. We have voucher listings. They're in your book. Well, the first voucher listing is for the City of Chicago, voucher number 14-02, dated February 26, 2014, in the amount of $526,814.27.
Motion to approve?
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We also have a voucher listing from the County of Cook, 1403, totaling $1,267,194.94.
Motion to approve?
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. I'll second. Further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order. We'll now move to public comment section. Terry, do you have anything for us today?
Well, I would like to report that Helene attended one of the judges' training sessions and was very pleased and thought it went very well.
Thank you.
And,
Excellent.
also, she's in the precinct about 900 South Michigan, and they had 2 precincts in that very small room before, and they complained about it, but they're still there.
The reason why is we just cannot find anything in that area. So what we're going to have is, we're going to have a security officer directing traffic, which would make it a lot easier. So we're working on that, but that's difficult. There are just too many proprietors that don't want to let us in. So, and that's one of them. So we're having some problems, but we're going to try to make it work, and we're still looking for places.
Okay, I will.
You
pass
let
that
them know.
information
Thank you
along.
so much.
No public buildings in that couple blocks. Okay. Ms. Maroney, Sharon, do you have anything for us today?
Yes, I sent you some, a letter this morning. Did you get it?
I don't know that I received the one this morning, no.
I have it, and I'm reviewing it.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'm here today because there are some concerns with how the election judges are being recruited. And the letter outlines specific issues that we have found, one of which involves the placement of early voting judges. The Republican Party has the authority to make those placements. We asserted that authority and said we wanted to make them on 5 open precincts that don't have committeemen. It's a long story. I don't need to go into all the details, but somebody on the board, and I don't know who because nobody is claiming authority for it, placed 5 over-the-counter judges into the early voting spots, of which 3 of them have voted Democrat for a long time and are Democrats and do not live in the precincts or in the wards. So why they were even assigned, I don't know. And one looks like he is a Republican, but his contact information is not updated, so we can't reach him. And the 4th person did not identify. I don't know actually how they voted. It wasn't clear in the sheet. So, but he doesn't live in the ward. So we want to make sure that we can assign these 5 positions, and we will get it done by tomorrow. That's one issue that needs to be addressed. And also, I believe that this board needs to rectify whatever it is within your internal processes that allows your staff to assign without Republican input early voting judges, and even worse, to use judges that have no affiliation whatsoever with the party. And I say that again without wanting to point a negative figure at any election judges, and certainly not at a judge because they're a Republican or a Democrat. However, the laws are quite clear that there needs to be an in-precinct Republican and Democrat in every precinct as a judge, and that's not being followed right now.
Okay. Does anyone want to respond to that, or you just have the
I
letter,
have
review
this,
it,
and if
take
Ms.
it under
Maroney,
advisement?
no, I have the letter that I got this morning. I'm going to find out what happened. If she has 5 applications, I wish you would give them to me.
Well, the problem is, where do they go? Because these are early voting, so I can't send them down to HR because HR thinks that the positions are all filled. So if you give me directions on who's to take the applications, we'll get them filled out.
For these 5 applications, you give them to me.
And I just need to get one of the applications. Where would I get that?
I will make sure that before the end of the meeting, you will have those.
Great, thank you very much. The second problem relating to assignment of judges, it's a fundamental issue, and so if I may approach and give you something? Thank you. I was working on this on the train, and I'm sorry if it's not perfect. So this is a vacancy list that I received early this morning from the board, and I appreciate the receipt of that. What I did is oh no, excuse me, I've got 2 different lists here. This list actually was sent to me at the beginning of February, before the 45-day period. As you're aware, there's a 45-day period where this board cannot use over-the-counter applications and put them in to anybody's positions. It's defined in the law. So this list was sent to me prior to February 1st, which signifies that 45-day period. And out of the thousands of judges that were on there, what I did is I sorted it so that I pulled everybody that came over the counter only, and I pulled everybody that had a Democrat voting record. And it came to be about 400 different judges. Now, the problem with this is that these have not been confirmed yet. So these judges weren't assigned in the last election cycles, and so their status doesn't say they've been confirmed. These guys are waiting to get confirmed. So I bring in...
Sharon, can I ask you a question? I'm looking at this, and the status is 1, so it says that they have been confirmed. You're saying they have not?
I thought 1 meant that they had not been confirmed.
No, 1 means they were confirmed before November 2012.
I was gonna say, we're not in a new confirmation period, are we?
These
No,
have been
we're at the
confirmed.
end
No.
of the confirmation.
We're at the end of a confirmation
These were
period, so
confirmed before November 12.
everybody should be confirmed now,
Okay.
Except for-
Then
Except
I
for the-
misunderstood
except for
the
vacancies.
symbol.
except for vacancies,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So then what is the
so
symbol?
these are confirmed.
These are confirmed. All right, well then I have to remove that objection, except to say that look at what you guys have done. You have repeatedly taken where there's 2 Republicans allowed, you put 2 Democrats there. That would be Ward 1, Precinct 4.
Wait, Sharon, I can't follow this.
I know you
Okay.
can't. Look at the very top.
Okay, it's in red, the red box?
Yeah. The red
Okay.
indicates to me what I consider to be
Okay, so they're
adverse.
signed as a Republican, but you said in the March 12th, they voted Democrat.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying? That's what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
See, the problem with doing the data sort is that when you guys changed the spreadsheets that you used to send me, you took off how they're voting. And I have asked repeatedly to have the designation for what the election judge says that they want to serve as, a Democrat or Republican or either. And I can't seem to get a spreadsheet without that information on it. So here I am trying to figure out what do we have in front of us, and I can't do that because certain columns have been, in the middle of the process, deleted. One of them anyways, the other one wasn't put on there even though I've asked. So we are frustrated, and I want to know, the Democrats right now need 800 new judges.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans need 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And Illinois statute is so clear. I'm really stunned that you have to have a Republican and a Democrat from every single precinct represented there. And so there's this policy where the people aren't assigned according to that priority. They're assigned by whatever priorities they are, but the first priority should be, does every precinct have a Democrat and a Republican in it? So I come in with all these applications, and I'm told by your staffing department that they can't put our people in because they have OTCs already there. Well, there's nothing in the law that gives the OTCs priority over Republican candidates who are being submitted through the chairman's supplemental list. And so that practice is, it's frustrating the ability for the Republican Party to fulfill their obligation by the law, which is to staff these positions.
Okay, there's several things in there that I guess we need to address. you want to just take the stab at it? I won't try to out my
Sure.
words. Yeah.
We've made it clear, and I'm not sure where the misunderstanding has occurred, but in our very first correspondence with you about submitting applications after the deadline, in no way was there ever a suggestion that after we found an over-the-counter application that you could go in and swap out. Never once. That's the exact opposite of what we advised you.
And I want to interrupt you for a second, too. Is that what you, is Sharon, when she says supplemental list?
Right, supplemental, essentially late.
That's what I was going to try to say.
No, that's.
Well, that's why I want to try to understand the question.
It's part of the law.
No, but this is-
It's within the legal timeframe.
Here's what we're running into right now. And we sent this correspondence and we provided all the documents to Ms. Maroney. She asked, why are hundreds of her applications not being inserted? We had 115 where they were incomplete or altered. And where the voter originally marked Democratic, and someone else changed it to Republican for you. And in some cases, well, I'll get back to those. So there's 115 that are incomplete or altered. There are 198 that are completely not registered to vote, one of the primary requirements for serving as a judge of election. There are another 55 where we were supplied with voter registration forms, but the voter registration forms were not complete to the degree that we could process them. They did not have any identifying information that we could confirm their status through the state, such as the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, driver's license, or state ID. But getting back to these first batch, this 115 that were incomplete or altered, a number of them, commissioners, and I'll give you just a few samples here of the originals, have something changed, sometimes with whiteout, sometimes with a blue pen on a form that was filled out with black pen or vice versa. And then they have phonied up initials, where it's clear that the person who put the initials on there, I'm looking at one, for example, for Deborah Cox. But the way the form is filled out, it's last name Cox, first name Deborah. So the person who initialed it looked down at that part of the form and put CD. Now, I don't know, and this is multiple forms. I'm looking at another one. Marcia Ash initialed it AM because on the form it says Ash Marcia. So the person who changed these and doctored these, nobody initials their name. I don't go AJ. I doubt you go NL for Langdon Neal. I don't know of anybody on the planet who initials anything by reversing their initials. But they do on these forms. And that's why we gave you copies of them. So there are a number of problems with these very late submissions. Now, does the law allow you to submit? Now, let me finish speaking, ma'am. We've allowed you to send us tons of correspondence. We've responded in a timely manner when we're busy with real work. And we get these 350-odd applications that we cannot process. And we have to chase our tails and get you information about them and explain to you what's wrong with them. And these were all submitted within the last week. Again, we've emphasized over and over again as a board that we need to get these applications in sooner than 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks before the election. It's the only way that you can do justice to these, that you could get the non-registered registered, that you could complete the non-registered who provided forms with, to get the rest of their information, or you can find out what was on with these altered or changed forms or incomplete forms. So these are that's the crux of what we're talking about right now.
I don't think it is the crux. I think that's a distraction of what the point is. The point is if we had 850, 300 of them for whatever reason right now, did not quite make it. The other 500 were not placed according to the state law and how it is required, the process that is required to go through. And furthermore, the board has been blocking the information when I ask for information. Now, my letter makes this point to you. From a budgetary perspective, you know, I know that we're staffing judges at the last minute, and it's a hard chore, and I'm not delusional about any of that. However, I do believe that this board is not doing their job according to the way the law prescribes it to be done. And it's my job to make sure that it is done correctly, because we're supposed to make sure that these positions are staffed by Republicans. We give you them, and what do you do? Now, my letter outlines the example, and really, I wish Commissioner Cowan was here, because I remember when the board approved to have send out the, 40,000 letters, whatever it was, to all the Republicans and invite them to be judges. So you reported at the last meeting you got between 800 and 1,000 judges from that. I'm estimating your cost per hire per election judge was probably $20 to $25, because that mailing probably ran around 20,000, maybe,
You're wrong on the price of them.
I could be wrong.
You are.
So I give you guys all of these applications, the same amount practically. 300 of them aren't good, but instead of getting cooperation from the board to call some of these people, why, if when people, and I called your staffing department and I said, why can't you call these these individuals and have them fix their applications? And they said, well, we don't do that.
Well, Ms. Maroney, my suggestion is, this is of great concern to me, that it's been reported that there are approximately 115 altered applications and 198 of them not registered to vote. And I think you would agree that we need to get to the bottom of this and find out exactly what happened. And my recommendation is that we refer this to Mr. Scanlon for further review and a recommendation as to what to do if we need to take this step forward to law enforcement or internal investigation. So that would be my recommendation.
I would support that 100%. I'm also very concerned about altered applications. I'm curious, do you know why? I just have two that I sampled here where it looks as if someone has marked the box Democratic Party and then scratched it off and then checked Republican Party. And that's in 2 or 3 of them just right that I found. Did you have any idea?
I saw some of those when I was stamping them, especially the ones that were, the dates and things were changed, and they came to me that way. So I assumed that.
And where did they come to you from?
They came from people in the communities that were out recruiting for candidates. And I think that if there was a misunderstanding, it's probably because in some instances they would have checked either, and then they went back and it was clarified that they meant the one.
Oh, no.
That just doesn't.
That's just a misstatement. That's not even.
Well,
that's not even close
let me
to
just take
accurate.
this on, Jim.
Okay.
Unless you
And I
want
don't
to.
really know, but I don't know that that's really a crime. I think if we need to reclaim those, what we should do is the same thing that you do with the over-the-counter applications. When your people come up and they say, what should I be? You
Yeah.
say to them, what are you?
I
And
think-
you could call these people and say, are you Democrat or Republican? And the issue's resolved, isn't it?
Sharon, I can't believe you would say that, because you're here on the premise that we need more Republican judges. And now you're telling me that when someone comes with an application, you ask them, what should I be? That's a proper question?
Well, there's two different strategies. If you're out on the streets and you're trying to recruit Republicans, you're giving them forms and they're filling them out. And you may, and however that works out, that's a
But your
grassroots
form,
thing. And they might be changing their party right at that moment. That's very different from the board making that decision.
then why do you make a point in this one of showing the Republican judges that have voted Democrat at the last election?
Because the board made those choices. If we have a committeeman that goes out into his ward and he recruits 100 people that voted in March Democrat, and he recruits them to be Republican judges, but he believes that each one of them has changed their belief and they are a Republican, he has done his job. And that's what those represent, is people would have gone out and said, do you want to be a Republican judge? And so they've changed their party, they've changed their allegiance, but they did it there, as opposed to it being done here at the board, where the board independently makes those decisions. Of
That's,
what parties to assign it for.
I take issue with that. So what we've been given is at least 150 altered applications in some form.
Most of them are just plain old incomplete.
You're probably
Where
very few
individuals
all
have
that.
signed this under penalty of
How
perjury
many
and have
alters?
certified that all of the information is true.
And it's pretty clear that on those applications, the box for Democratic, where they want to serve as Democratic judge, was checked,
Yes, it's clear.
which leads one to conclude that the applicant, the person who filled it out and signed it, expressed a preference to serve as a Democratic judge.
Correct.
Right.
And then there were, someone, whoever it was, came back and altered it
Yeah.
Right.
to indicate Republican.
This definitely.
Now, if the person wants to serve, had voted in the past as a Democrat and now wants to serve as a Republican, and the committeemen question them about that, and they believe that these people now want to serve as a Republican, that's fine. But the fact that they've filled the statement out and indicate in writing that they want to serve as a Democrat, and then it's later altered, that's an entirely different situation altogether.
A far different and very serious situation.
And I should also add, because I think Ms. Maroney indicated the board somehow tells us all the time, they don't. There is a box where a person can express a preference for serving in either party,
Correct.
in which case the board staff can assign that individual to serve, if there is a vacancy, to serve either as a Democrat or as a Republican. But it's not an issue, it's not a situation where board or board staff is going back and altering those documents. They do not alter those documents.
So, Jim, will you review these further, and then will you make a recommendation to us as to how to proceed? We've got to do fact-finding, or someone else has to do fact-finding of how we've been presented altered applications for judges. That is we're going to get to the bottom of that.
Yes.
I can assure you.
Now I'm going to get to the bottom of where are our judges being placed.
Well,
Because I know we're talking about a few applications, it looks like based on what I see there, maybe there's 20 of them out of 850, maybe 30, I don't know how many.
No, there are 190 not registered.
No, that's not that's the question.
55, there are 115 that were incomplete or altered. There are approximately 32 of which where they switched the party.
So you're talking out of 850, there's a small number that need to be called and contacted and find out what party they want to serve. My question is, what
I
about
don't
the
want you
other
to, I don't want you to
500?
gloss over this. I mean, there's a significant number where the face of the application has been altered.
Right.
That's serious.
But that's not the point that I'm here, that is a problem. You've addressed it. You haven't addressed the reason that I'm here today. You haven't addressed how you are assigning the chairman's supplemental list, which are judges that we bring in, and the law says that you first have to go to the supplemental list, and then after you've exhausted all of those lists. And that is not the procedures that you are using right now.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could just address
Yeah.
that. And I've been given a copy of Ms. Maroney's letter, and I will assist Mr. Goff in preparing a written response to that letter. But let me just say here that I disagree with Ms. Maroney with regard to your construction or interpretation of what the statute is, especially with regard to the over-the-counter or OTC applications. I believe that we are following the correct procedure. I think that the procedure we used was clearly expressed in Commissioner Collins' letter to Chairman Del Mar, I believe it was February 12th. We will go through then and address that issue in more detail in a written response, and we'll probably try to get that to you as soon as we can.
If there are election judges that have come to you through the Republican supplemental chairman's list, these elections are currently in those precincts is not a Republican judge of election. then the priority of this board should be to assure that that person is placed in precinct in a Republican position, because that is what they have signed up to do. And that is currently not happening, and there's nothing that prevents this board from doing that.
Well, there's one thing that prevents us, because we're going to have to find out how many of these are legitimate applications. And how many of these applications, for the people that you described, are actually expressing their intent that's on this document. So that's the first question. The entire thing is suspect to me now. I'm telling you, Sharon, it is. It's been tainted. And so we're going to have to get to the bottom of it and figure it out. But if they're legitimate applications from Republicans who want to serve, we're going to, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't serve.
I have to leave.
Okay. All right. Well, at this point, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
And we're going to, I'm going to second, Sharon, we're going to look at these applications, and we're going to track down where we can find people where there's missing applications, and respond to you accordingly.
You mean you're going to look after the 500 that have been approved and make sure that they've been placed in position?
Do you want to address that, Kelly?
Well, 345 of your applications that you submitted last week are in fact assigned and placed, so yes.
We're
At
adjourned.
least 345.
Yeah. A vote on the
We're just
motion to adjourn?
continuing, we're continuing, yeah, moving prep.
Aye.
We're just continuing the open session here.
But have been placed, so.
So that leaves at least 150 that have not. And also, they weren't necessarily placed, you know, in the way that your board is receiving those, you're not noting which ones have come from the chairman's list and which ones have come from over the counter. Did you want to comment on that? Because I would love that to get changed.
No, I didn't know if we were still rolling or not, that's all. That's all.
You know, so our applications are being mislabeled.
I find that, I don't think that's the truth, that's the case. So the point that Sharon is making is we're not noting for the record who comes in on a chairman's signed application versus over the counter.
Mr. Chairman, if I just say, I think we'll address all of those
In your letter?
in a written
Okay.
response, and we'll have that, if not tonight, tomorrow
Thank
morning.
you. That would be
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay, that's the best way to go.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.